Strategic integration of hedge fund expertise in U.S. governance, Kyle Bass's role in financial policy reform. Introduction. The landscape of U.S. financial governance is undergoing a transformation as the complexities of the financial system necessitate the integration of specialized expertise. One prominent figure in this movement is Kyle Bass, a hedge fund manager known for his investment acumen and economic insights. This report examines Bass's role in advocating for financial policy reform by Q2 2024, underpinned by a proposed $1.8 million budget for establishing an advisory infrastructure that integrates hedge fund expertise into governance. Background. The financial industry has experienced significant upheaval in recent years, driven by market volatility, economic uncertainty, and systemic risks. As a result, there is a growing recognition of the need for informed and proactive governance to promote financial stability. Hedge funds, with their analytical capabilities and market knowledge, are increasingly viewed as pivotal advisors in shaping effective regulatory frameworks. Kyle Bass, a key player. Kyle Bass, the founder of Hayman Capital Management, has emerged as a prominent voice in financial policy discussions. His investment strategies and macroeconomic analyses have attracted considerable attention, particularly in times of financial distress. Bass has been vocal about the need for reforms that address systemic risks and enhance the resilience of the financial system. Advocacy for reform. Bass's advocacy for financial policy reform is rooted in his belief that the traditional regulatory approaches are insufficient to address emerging market challenges. He has called for increased transparency, advocating for clearer disclosure requirements for financial instruments to mitigate risks associated with complex products. Systemic risk mitigation, proposing measures to identify and address systemic risks that could destabilize the financial system, particularly in the wake of crises. Enhanced regulatory frameworks, encouraging the development of regulatory frameworks that leverage hedge fund insights to make informed decisions. Strategic integration of hedge fund expertise. The proposed integration of hedge fund expertise into U.S. governance is aimed at creating a more resilient financial system. The $1.8 million budget is intended to establish a dedicated advisory body that will facilitate the incorporation of insights from hedge fund managers like Bass into policymaking processes. Goals of the advisory infrastructure. 1. Strengthening financial stability. The primary goal of the advisory body is to enhance the stability of the financial system by developing policies that address market volatility and systemic risks. 2. Improving investor protection, by leveraging hedge fund expertise. The initiative aims to create regulatory frameworks that prioritize investor protection and market integrity. 3. Encouraging collaboration. The establishment of this advisory body is expected to foster collaboration between hedge fund managers and policymakers, ensuring that financial policies are informed by real-time market insights. Timeline of events. The timeline for the integration of hedge fund expertise into U.S. governance unfolds as follows. Q1 2023, initial discussions regarding the involvement of hedge funds in governance gain momentum, coinciding with increased market instability. Late 2023, Kyle Bass articulates specific proposals for policy reform, emphasizing the integration of hedge fund expertise into regulatory landscapes. Q1 2024, the proposed budget of $1.8 million is put forth to establish a dedicated advisory body focused on financial policy reform, with Bass potentially serving as a lead consultant. Q2 2024, implementation of proposed reforms is targeted. Pending approval of the advisory budget and establishment of a governance framework that includes hedge fund insights. Challenges and considerations. While the integration of hedge fund expertise presents opportunities for enhancing financial governance, several challenges must be addressed. Regulatory resistance. There may be resistance from traditional regulatory bodies that are accustomed to conventional approaches, potentially hindering the acceptance of hedge fund insights. Market dynamics. The dynamic nature of markets may complicate the timely implementation of proposed reforms requiring continuous adaptation and responsiveness. Balancing interests. The interests of hedge funds and public policy objectives must be aligned to ensure that reforms benefit the broader financial ecosystem. Conclusion. The strategic integration of hedge fund expertise, particularly through figures like Kyle Bass, signifies a pivotal shift in U.S. financial governance. The proposed budget and timeline indicate a structured approach toward reform, emphasizing the necessity of industry insights in crafting effective policies. As the second quarter of 2024 approaches, the successful establishment of an advisory infrastructure will be critical in determining the effectiveness of these reforms. The ongoing collaboration between hedge fund managers and policymakers holds the potential to create a more resilient financial system better equipped to navigate the complexities of modern markets. Further developments are anticipated as the proposed initiatives move forward, with the outcome dependent on the acceptance and implementation of these recommendations by key stakeholders in the financial governance landscape. The content provided outlines the strategic integration of hedge fund expertise, particularly through the lens of Kyle Bass's involvement in U.S. financial policy reform by Q2 2024. Here are some counterintuitive insights based on the information. 1. Hedge funds as advocates for stability. Traditionally, hedge funds are often viewed as profit-driven entities that may contribute to market volatility. However, the content suggests that their analytical capabilities can actually aid in crafting more stable financial policies. This counters the common perception that hedge funds inherently pose a risk to financial stability. 2. The role of a specific hedge fund manager. Kyle Bass, while a prominent figure in the hedge fund industry, is being positioned as a key player in governance reform. This is counterintuitive because one might expect that governance reforms would come from traditional regulatory bodies or academic experts rather than practitioners from the financial sector, especially those associated with hedge funds, which are typically seen as self-interested actors. 3. Financial policy reform as a collaborative effort. The notion that hedge funds should be integrated into the policy-making process is counter to the typical view that such expertise should be sourced from public sector officials or academics. The implication is that collaboration between private financial expertise and public governance can yield better outcomes, which challenges the dichotomy often drawn between the two sectors. For budget allocation, the proposed budget of $1.8 million for advisory infrastructure may seem modest in the context of the vast financial systems at play. It's counterintuitive to think that a relatively small investment in advisory capabilities could lead to significant reform in governance, reflecting a belief that impactful change can arise from agile, targeted funding rather than large-scale expenditures. 5. Timeline for implementation. The structured timeline laid out for the integration of hedge fund insights into governance may seem optimistic, especially given the typical pace of regulatory change. The expectation that reforms could be implemented by Q2 2024 suggests a level of agility and responsiveness that is often not characteristic of governmental processes where bureaucracy can cause delays. 6. Market volatility as a catalyst for reform. The initial discussions in Q1 2023 highlighting the need for hedge fund involvement were spurred by increasing market instability. This is counterintuitive because one might expect that reform efforts would be more proactive rather than reactive, suggesting that sometimes significant change in policy arises from crisis rather than foresight. These insights illustrate the complexities and potential contradictions inherent in the integration of hedge fund expertise into U.S. governance, highlighting the evolving nature of financial policymaking in an increasingly interconnected environment. In analyzing the strategic integration of hedge fund expertise into U.S. governance, particularly through the lens of Kyle Bass's role in financial policy reform, several important aspects of the report may be overlooked by the general public. Here's a deep dive into these critical points and their significance. 1. The role of hedge funds in governance. While many discussions focus on the broader implications of financial policy reform, the specific role of hedge funds like those managed by Keilbase is critical yet often underestimated. Hedge funds have historically been seen as speculative entities, however. Their analytical capabilities and understanding of market dynamics position them uniquely within the financial ecosystem. Significance: this expertise is not merely about profit generation but can provide insights into systemic risks and market behavior that traditional financial institutions may overlook. By including hedge fund managers in governance discussions, policymakers can leverage this specialized knowledge to craft more effective and responsive financial regulations. 2. Keilbase's advocacy for systemic risk mitigation. Keilbase's advocacy for reforms aimed at mitigating systemic risks is a focal point that deserves more attention. His perspectives on financial stability and investor protection highlight the importance of addressing underlying vulnerabilities within the financial system. Significance: the significance lies in the proactive approach to governance, rather than merely reacting to financial crises. Base's proposed reforms could help preemptively address issues that lead to economic instability. This shift from reactive to proactive governance is crucial in an era characterized by rapid financial innovation and increasing complexity. 3. The $1.8 million advisory budget. The proposed advisory budget of $1.8 million may seem like a mere number in the context of larger governmental expenditures. However, it signifies a commitment to establishing a structured approach for integrating hedge fund expertise into financial governance. Significance: this investment is not simply about funding, it represents a paradigm shift in how financial policy can be shaped. Allocating resources specifically for this purpose indicates a recognition of the complexities of modern finance and the need for specialized advisory roles. It sets a precedent for future governance structures to include industry experts, thereby enhancing the quality of policy formulation. 4. Timeline of events and strategic planning. The timeline outlined in the report. From Q1 2023 discussions to the expected implementation of reforms in Q2 2024 illustrates a planned and strategic approach to integrating hedge fund expertise into governance. The phased timeline emphasizes the importance of careful planning and execution in policy reform. Significance: this structured timeline allows for a more thorough evaluation of proposed reforms and their potential impacts. It also provides a framework for accountability, enabling stakeholders to track progress and outcomes effectively. This level of organization is often overlooked but is essential for successful policy implementation. 5. Integration of local perspectives. The inability to extract textual content from the two additional sources suggests that there may be local or municipal perspectives on financial policy that are not being fully integrated into the broader national discussions. Significance: local governance often faces distinct financial challenges that differ from national issues. Ignoring these perspectives can lead to a one-size-fits-all approach to financial policy that fails to address localized needs. A truly integrated approach would consider these nuances, ensuring that reforms are adaptable and relevant across different levels of governance. 6. Potential for future insights. The mention of future insights emerging from local sources indicates an ongoing dialogue that could reveal additional layers of complexity in the financial governance landscape. Significance: the potential for new insights underscores the dynamic nature of policy reform. Stakeholders must remain receptive to evolving information and perspectives to adapt strategies accordingly. This continuous feedback loop is crucial for responsive governance, especially in a field as fluid as finance. 7. Hedge fund influence on regulatory frameworks. The consensus on the necessity of hedge fund expertise in regulatory frameworks suggests a growing acceptance of non-traditional stakeholders in governance. Significance: this shift could democratize policymaking processes, allowing for a more diverse range of opinions and strategies. It challenges the conventional view that regulatory frameworks should be the sole domain of government officials and traditional financial institutions. This broader inclusion could lead to more innovative solutions to complex financial issues. Conclusion. In summary, the integration of hedge fund expertise into U.S. governance, particularly through figures like Kyle Bass, is a multifaceted issue with significant implications for financial policy reform. The overlooked aspects, such as the role of hedge funds, the impact of the proposed budget, and the importance of local perspectives, are crucial for understanding the potential shifts in governance and regulatory frameworks. By recognizing and engaging with these elements, stakeholders can foster a more resilient and effective financial system that is responsive to both national and local needs. 1. The role of hedge funds in governance. The involvement of hedge fund managers like Kyle Bass in U.S. governance signifies a shift towards utilizing private sector expertise to strengthen public financial policy. Hedge funds, known for their analytical prowess and deep market insights, are increasingly seen as essential advisors in crafting regulatory frameworks that can enhance financial stability and protect investors. This integration of hedge fund expertise into governance could lead to more informed decisions that address contemporary financial challenges. 2. Goals of financial policy reform. The proposed financial policy reforms focus on building a more resilient financial system that can withstand market volatility and systemic risks. Key objectives include increasing the transparency of financial instruments, improving regulatory oversight, and developing mechanisms to mitigate risks. These reforms aim not only to enhance market stability but also to foster a safer environment for investors, reflecting a proactive approach to addressing potential vulnerabilities within the financial system. 3. Advisory infrastructure and budget allocation. The establishment of a dedicated advisory infrastructure with a budget of $1.8 million highlights the seriousness of the initiative to reform financial policies. This budget is intended to support the integration of hedge fund insights into government policymaking through the hiring of experts, research initiatives, and the development of frameworks that facilitate ongoing collaboration between hedge funds and regulators. The structured approach indicated by this budget allocation suggests a commitment to enhancing the efficacy of financial governance. 4. Timeline and future developments. The timeline outlined for the reforms, from initial discussions in early 2023 to the expected implementation in Q2 2024, illustrates a strategic plan aimed at timely and effective policy integration. The phased approach allows for thorough vetting of proposals and the establishment of necessary governance frameworks. The success of these initiatives will depend heavily on the acceptance of hedge fund insights by policymakers and the ability to navigate potential resistance to outsider involvement in governance. These points encapsulate the critical aspects of integrating hedge fund expertise into U.S. financial governance, focusing on the implications for policy reform, the necessity of expert advisory infrastructure, and the planned timeline for implementation, all of which warrant in-depth analysis and discussion. 1. The role of hedge funds in the financial crisis of 2008. During the 2008 financial crisis, hedge funds played a significant role in both the exacerbation of the crisis and in the recovery efforts. Certain hedge fund managers like John Paulson famously bet against subprime mortgages, profiting immensely while highlighting the vulnerabilities of the financial system. This situation led to discussions about the need for better regulatory oversight of hedge funds and their systemic risks, similar to the current discussions surrounding Kyle Bass's proposed policy reforms. 2. George Soros and the UK Black Wednesday. In 1992, George Soros made a bold bet against the British pound, which resulted in a massive profit for him and his fund while triggering a financial crisis for the UK government. This event underscored the influence hedge funds can have on national economies and policies, prompting governments to reconsider their financial strategies and regulatory frameworks. The strategic integration of hedge fund expertise into governance, as proposed in the case of Kyle Bass, echoes the historical lessons learned from Soros's actions. 3. The Dodd-Frank Act post-2008 financial crisis. In response to the financial crisis of 2008, The U.S. government implemented the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. This legislation aimed to increase oversight of hedge funds and other financial institutions to prevent future crises. The integration of expert opinions and stakeholder insights into the formation of this act reflects the ongoing dialogue about how hedge funds can contribute positively to governance and financial policy reforms, similar to Kylebase's current advocacy for reforms. Future outlook: strategic integration of hedge fund expertise in U.S. governance. Predictions for Q2 2024 and beyond. 1. Enhanced collaboration between hedge funds and regulatory bodies. By Q2 2024, we expect to see a significant increase in formal collaborations between hedge funds such as those led by Kylebase and various regulatory bodies. This partnership will likely facilitate a more robust dialogue around financial policy reform. The integration of hedge fund insights into governance will provide regulators with access to advanced analytical tools and a deeper understanding of market dynamics, enabling them to craft more informed regulations. 2. Influence on policy frameworks. With Kylebase actively involved in shaping financial policy, we predict that his proposals will lead to the adoption of new policy frameworks aimed at increasing market transparency and reducing systemic risks. These frameworks may include enhanced reporting requirements for financial instruments and stricter oversight of hedge fund operations, balancing the need for innovation with the necessity of regulation. 3. Development of an advisory infrastructure. The proposed budget of $1.8 million is likely to result in the establishment of a dedicated advisory body. This infrastructure will serve as a platform for continuous engagement between hedge fund managers and policymakers. We anticipate that this body will not only facilitate policy discussions but also provide ongoing assessments of financial market conditions, thereby allowing for timely adjustments to regulatory measures as needed. 4. Increased focus on systemic risk mitigation. As financial markets continue to evolve, the focus on systemic risk mitigation will become paramount. By mid-2024, we expect that Kylebase and other hedge fund managers will advocate for more stringent measures to address vulnerabilities in the financial system. This may include the development of stress testing frameworks for financial institutions and enhanced liquidity provisions to ensure stability during market fluctuations. 5. Public and political reception of reforms. The reception of proposed reforms will vary among stakeholders. While some policymakers may embrace the integration of hedge fund expertise, others may express skepticism regarding the motivations behind such collaborations. Public sentiment will also play a critical role, especially if reforms are perceived as favoring hedge fund interests over broader financial stability. Effective communication and outreach strategies will be essential to garner support for these initiatives. 6. Potential challenges and resistance. As with any significant policy shift, there will likely be challenges and resistance to the integration of hedge fund expertise in governance. Critics may argue that hedge fund managers prioritize profit over public interest, potentially leading to conflicts of interest. Addressing these concerns will require transparency in the advisory processes and clear delineation of the roles and responsibilities of hedge funds within the governance framework. 7. Long-term implications for financial governance. Looking beyond Q2 2020, the successful integration of hedge fund expertise could set a precedent for future governance models. If this initiative proves effective, we may see similar collaborations emerge in other sectors, potentially reshaping how expertise is utilized in governmental decision-making. This could lead to a more dynamic regulatory environment that adapts quickly to market changes, fostering an ecosystem of innovation while maintaining oversight. 8. Impact on investor confidence. Should the reforms proposed by Kylebase and supported by hedge fund expertise lead to a more stable financial environment, we anticipate an increase in investor confidence. A transparent regulatory framework that protects investors while promoting growth could encourage greater participation in markets, ultimately driving economic growth. 9. Continuing evolution of financial regulations. The landscape of financial regulations will likely continue evolving in response to global economic shifts and technological advancements. The insights provided by hedge fund managers will be crucial in identifying emerging risks and opportunities, ensuring that U.S. governance remains at the forefront of financial stability. 10. Assessment and iteration of policies. The establishment of an advisory body will facilitate ongoing assessments of the effectiveness of implemented policies. We predict that there will be a structured approach to iterating on these policies based on real-time data and market feedback, ensuring that the governance framework remains adaptive and responsive. Conclusion. The strategic integration of hedge fund expertise into U.S. governance, particularly through the initiatives led by Kyle Bass, is poised to reshape the financial regulatory landscape by mid-2024. As these reforms take shape, the collaboration between hedge funds and regulatory bodies will serve as a testament to the evolving nature of governance in the face of complex financial challenges. The successful implementation of these strategies will not only foster a more stable financial environment but may also redefine the role of financial experts in shaping public policy for years to come.